the greatest challenge is that there is a supermajority, and it seems to be little effort to really listen to the other point of view. So many times we call it being run over like a freight train, that issues come up and they're not heard.
A senator named Figures has represented Mobile County in the Alabama State Senate for 34 years.
When the session convenes in February, Senator Vivian Figures will take her seat as the new minority leader. It's a historic moment as she becomes the first woman ever in the position.
Figures recently sat down with our Eric Reynolds to talk about how she started in politics, her 20 years in elected office, and its challenges. Here's the interview.
I'm talking about the very basic things in life. Showing up on time, and being there. If you can do those three things and being prepared when you get there, you'll be a success.
Michael encouraged me to run for the Democratic National Convention in 1984. So I ran as a pledged delegate to Jesse Jackson and ended up getting the most votes, definitely more than Michael did in the 1st Congressional District. And maybe that was a sign at the time.
State Senator Vivian Davis Figures calls that her first taste of being elected. She's entering her 17th year in Montgomery as the Senate's new minority leader. Figures says that she has spent most of her adult life in politics. She started out helping other candidates and with her husband's campaigns. Mobile County's first elected African-American state senator, Michael Figures. In 1993, she accepted what she considers a calling.
I really had no aspirations to run for elective office. Actually, there were people who had approached me and said, you need to run for the city council. You know, at that time, it was a lot of infighting and conflict, and I just felt that I could make a difference there. And that's when I decided to run for city council. For me, politics was a calling, or is a calling. You were there to hear the needs and the cries from the people. And I wanted to be that voice for the voiceless. People who would get the runaround, who would get ignored or whatever. But to help them, to help make my community a better community.
I was a little boy. I wanted to be the President of the United States.
1996 was her husband's 17th year in Montgomery. That year, she saw his historic election as President Pro Tem of the Senate. Later, in September of '96, Senator Michael Figures unexpectedly passed away 1 month from his 49th birthday.
A great humanitarian, orator, lawyer, also one who we thought would be Alabama's first African-American governor. To see that just halted, you know, with no sign, no warning whatsoever. I never had any kind of aspiration to go to state government. I was happy on the Mobile City Council. A number of people who urged me to run for the seat. But I looked at myself as not qualified because I was comparing myself to Michael. And when I sat my boys down and talked to them about it, they wanted me to run. And that is what convinced me to run for the Senate. It was an honor that the people had elected me to serve out his unexpired term. But it was so bitter going there. It was just another indicator that he was gone. There were times when I would just be so full I would cry, or I would go in my office or whatever. So it was bittersweet.
There were different challenges for incoming Senator Figures. The name was respected, but this was Senator Vivian Figures.
When I went to the Senate in 1997, women were not allowed to wear pants or slacks on the Senate floor. So I was approached by secretaries that morning when I wore my navy blue pinstripe suit. Anyway, I went to the Secretary of the Senate and asked him about it, and then we changed. They changed the rule right there.
This February marks her 17th year in the state Senate. As minority leader, Senator Figures is the highest-ranking elected Democrat in the state.
The greatest challenge is that there is a supermajority, and it seems to be little effort to really listen to the other point of view. So many times we call it being run over like a freight train, that issues come up and they're not heard. And even for me as a woman.
As one of 5 female senators, committee appointments sometimes require organized protest.
We needed a woman on that committee because that committee deals with so many issues concerning family, domestic violence, and women issues. We just decided we were going to filibuster until they put women on those seats. As we started, they started putting people on those committees. They put a woman on all of the committees, so they allowed that to happen, and it happened. It is a challenge, being in the minority.
Despite political challenges and the loss of her husband, Senator Figures says there's a reason she's still serving.
I'm a woman of deep faith. I'm very spiritual, and in fact I tell people I'm not your typical politician, but a spiritually led elected official. And for that reason, I believe that God has taken me through many of the things that I have gone through so that I know firsthand what my constituents are going through and have gone through. And so I'm in a better position to be able to understand and to help them in any way that I can.
In Mobile, Eric Reynolds, Fox 10 News.
Senator Figures believes the Democratic Party has an opportunity to elect members to statewide office again. She says a bold, visionary leader who will bring people together and focus on the things we all have in common will be successful.
Senator Figures also says she and others have to do a better job getting the Democratic Party's message out to voters. She says she intends to do just that as she travels around the state speaking about a number of laws that are being passed that may have unintended consequences.